Hello, I'm Reed Price from the Bainbridge Island Senior and Community Center. John Benjes is with me. We're going to talk about the bike park up on Strawberry Hill, Strawberry Park area in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for being a sponsor of the Senior and Community Center. They do that by sponsoring these Something to Talk About programs. And I just got told that the Something to Talk About podcast has again been named the best podcast on Bainbridge by the Bainbridge Review. So thank you for that. Fieldstone, which is the sponsor, as I was saying, offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care. They're located on Rolling Bay. You can find out about day stay and respite programs as well. And if you take a tour, ask about sticking around and trying the menu at lunch or dinner for free. Call Sierra Wood or Randy O'Neill at 206 594 1010 or check out their website at fieldstonecommunities.com. John, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. I found out about this by reading an article that your friend Kevin Dwyer had written in the Island Wanderer, and then I also saw that it was in the Kitsap Sun that just the inauguration of this new park. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your engagement and what this new park is?
Thanks for the invite, Reed. Happy to be here. Back about 2010, in the state of Washington, a few people got together and hooked up with a national organization to start a mountain bike race league. Um, and a couple of years after that, in 2012, Gordon Black on the island started up the Gear Grinders, and I joined the next year. And that team, of course, grew fairly rapidly from 5 or 6 kids up to a high of about 50 when COVID hit, and it's been rebuilding back to that close to that level since COVID. Um, so in the early years, we benefited so much from having the multi-use trails on Bainbridge for training, and for kids to just go out there and ride even when they weren't doing an official training ride. But we thought, well, what can we do to increase opportunities for mountain biking? We started with the idea of just let's build more trails. So we got together with parks, and in the space of about 4 years, we built not just us, but we were the main volunteer labor force for about 2.5 miles of additional trails on Bainbridge. Probably the most significant one is the Veterani Trail in Gasm. So we did that, and we continued to build smaller trails and maintain trails on the island. But then we thought, well, a lot of communities are building pump tracks, just these little areas with rollers and berms where you can go around and around and around and not have to. It's on flat ground typically. You don't have to. Once you get the technique down, you don't have to actually pedal your bike. So we proposed that to the park district, and they agreed to put a small pump track at Battle Point, which was, of course, named Jay's Pump Track in memory of our coach, Jay Abbott, who we lost in a very serious, unfortunate bike accident. Uh, at that point, we thought, well, how about if we could figure out a place on Bainbridge where we could build trails, downhill trails, not steep downhill trails, but trails that had slope, that had features in them that you would expect to encounter in a bike race, and you could kind of cordon those small number of trails off to where they would be just for mountain bikes, where you could really let the bike do what it's intended to do. And so we started again working with parks, working with the Trail Advisory Committee to figure out how to get that done. And we had a proposal that for a few trails in the Grand Forest North, and there were some objections from the local community there, and there was a good back and forth between the people that wanted some trails for these kids and those that wanted the park to stay the way it was. And in the middle of that, someone stepped forward and made a very generous donation of $1 million to parks so that it could purchase the 11 acres of the Hayashida property adjacent to the Strawberry Hill park, and 8 acres of that was to be designated for biking. And that was about 4 years, 4.5 years ago. That started us down the road to building a bike park at Strawberry Hill, a park that was designed by Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance, the kind of the premier trail design and trail building entity in the state. We had an advisory committee of 7 people, 7 community members that helped them out on the design. And also the advisory committee helped the foundation to start to gather the funds together that we would need to build the park. Um, and eventually, of course, we got the design through. We got the design approved by the park district. We got the permit approved by the city, and then it went out for bid. And the successful bidder was a company called Shire Built, which is out of Bellingham. Also a very high level um, bike park building company, and they've done a lot up in the Galbraith Park up in Bellingham. And they started building it early this year, and it became a pretty extraordinary sight to see all the features coming in there after all the years that we spent talking about trying to envision what we could have for kids on Bainbridge Island. And I have to say, I think back to those conversations with Gordon Black and Jay Abbott and Herman Vroom and a few other coaches back in those early days. No, I don't think any of us could have imagined what was built at Strawberry Hill and what opened up just a week and a half ago. So this is a park that is really in keeping with the way our sport has evolved over the last probably 20 years, but particularly the last 10 years. Mountain bike parks are being built all over the world, small communities, big communities. There's a park underneath I-5 in Seattle. They're all over the place and they're going in everywhere. They're bigger, faster. They're more vertical. By that I mean there's more jumping. There's more airtime by the riders. And this park, has a nice blend of areas where you can train if you're brand new, simple trails that uh, almost anyone who's been on a bike for just a little bit can handle just fine, all the way up to trails that are really for the very advanced riders. So it's got a little bit of everything. It's not a huge park, but boy, it's pretty spectacular given what we had hoped for back in 2012 when we got together. So
I know that it's interesting. I have always thought of mountain biking as being more of a as I mean, of course I'm 70, 69, so but I've thought of it more as a trail enterprise. I often go over to Winthrop to the North Cascades area, and there are lots of people who use those trails. This sounds like it's much more of a assertive and sort of invigorating way to ride a mountain bike.
yeah, that's exactly right. I think if you look at the sport of mountain biking, it's still the trail riding, or what we often call cross country riding, is still the by far the predominant type of mountain biking that you experience, because there are miles and miles and miles of trails all over, including on Bainbridge Island. They're wonderful for riding a bike. But this is a somewhat smaller portion of the mountain biking community. It's very much a growing part of the mountain bike community, and there's a lot of people that are in mountain biking because of the existence of bike parks. There are a lot of mountain bikers that don't trail ride at all. They only go to mountain bike parks, and that's something that really is new in the last 20 years or so. Again, particularly in the last 5 or 10 years, and so there's trails being built for mountain biking and parks being built for mountain biking, like I said, all over the world. And the sport continues to grow.
So Gear Grinders is sort of, in addition to being lovers of of this kind of competitive mountain biking, do you provide or help provide some support for people? It sounds like mostly young people who are interested in learning some of the techniques.
Yeah, so the gear grinders, it goes down to grade 5. So gear grinders are grade 5 through grade 12. Um, we typically will accept kids even if they're relatively new to mountain biking. And we have coaches that train kids on skills, and it's a team that has people that are relatively new, kids that are relatively new to mountain biking and are looking for a sport that they can get together with other kids, and be a part of something. And so we welcome those kids, and they develop the skills, and if they really have the passion for it, the passion to train, because it's a lot of training, it's a lot of hard work. If they have that passion, then they typically will stick with the team for several years, sometimes from grade 5 all the way to grade 12, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm sure that, like with many sports like that, there's a great deal of payoff when you manage to plateau or get up a little bit better at the kinds of things you can do. And it's nice, it's wonderful actually that we have a place now where you can actually find the challenges that are next for you on your journey.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we were hoping for when we first started talking about this and thinking about it some years ago was that we could find a place on Bainbridge Island, where all the kids could get together. Obviously, it's more than just kids. There's plenty of adults that are out there riding, but a place where kids could hang out, and the gear grinders could go. Other kids who are not on the team, kids who are in the bike park district recreational mountain bike program, which is a very substantial, large, and robust program. They could all get together, meet each other, hang out, have a good time, show each other what they can do, and build a community. Before this bike park, there was no such place on Bainbridge Island, and now there is. And even in just the first week, when I go out there occasionally and take a look at what's going on, what we were hoping for is exactly what's happening. So it's been very rewarding and very exciting to see how much the kids love to be at the bike park.
So when you say what we were hoping for, say a little bit more about that. What kind of people are using it? What levels? What
Well,
obvi-
it's a what we were hoping for was that um, everybody would use it at every level, at every age, and that is what's happening. I mean, we have little kids on Strider bikes going down these trails and doing the big jump. They're doing the big jump lines, but of course, they're too small to actually jump. You need to have a little speed to do that. But the kids on the Strider bikes are everywhere, I ran into a guy out there who was mountain biking at a park, this type of park for the first time, and he was my age, so we had a good time, kind of sharing ideas about how to handle this turn or that turn. So we wanted it to be something for new riders. We also wanted there to be enough for the really good rider to have fun. This is not a park that can really compete with what's been built up in Port Gamble. Of course, Port Gamble has miles and miles and miles, incredible amount of trails, but they also have the Ride Park, which is a very large mountain bike park compared to ours. I think some 22 acres, something like that, with very, very large features. And we have kind of what I would call medium to large. They have large to very large, and they have lots of them. And so that's but we still wanted to have enough for that kind of rider that, if they wanted to spend an hour after school, or they wanted to stop by there and they didn't have time, couldn't get a ride to Port
yeah.
Campbell, they'd have a place where they could still do something that they felt challenged them a little bit, and was fun for them. So, I think we have that. We have something for every rider, the beginner to the advanced rider, which is what we hope for.
Congratulations on the hard work. It sounds like a wonderful addition. And I do remember the controversy about Grand Forest North. And I join you probably in being grateful for the donor who helped make this property available. And it seems like a perfect location, very close to other recreational amenities, easy to get to.
Yeah, and it's got the parking, and it's got the bathrooms, it's got water, and one of the really terrific things about it is, it's got all these other activities going on. So when kids are there doing softball and the family's there, maybe there's another kid that's really a biker.
Hmm.
They're, you know, we're going to have all kinds of folks that are going from one sport to the other, and maybe expanding what they would normally do.
So John, I mean, obviously the easiest thing to do if you're interested in this is just show up and start to use the facility. Are there some other places to find out online about programs? You mentioned the Parks Department, you mentioned Gear Grinders,
Yeah,
some resources.
yeah, I think the best resource at this point would be the Park District, because they have very good descriptions about what's going on there, and the Park District, they run mountain bike programs. They don't have too many adult programs. They have some, but they have, as I mentioned, a very robust array of programs for kids, starting even at like second, third grade. All the way through middle school, and I think maybe into the beginning years of high school. That's a place where, you know, if you want to really dive into mountain biking, is you contact the park district, look at their recreational opportunities, and sign up for those. The coaches are just terrific. I was out there the other day, and when a program came through with the park district with 10, 15 kids, and they were just going crazy. I mean, it was just amazing. So I'd say if you want to dive into it right now, the best place is Park District.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the update and anything you want to add?
No, I think that just about covers it. I just tell people, borrow a mountain bike and come on out.
Great. John Benjes, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate learning about it and have a great weekend. And
Hey,
I bet you'll be out there some part of it.
I'm going to be out there tomorrow morning. We're gonna do a little work on a couple things. So yeah.
Great. Okay.